Yeah, thanks you, Kenny. We're just looking down there at the waterways, the bridge that goes over to Southport, and that's where they come onto the Gold Coast Highway. Peter Brock, Peter Perfect, you know, has achieved most pole positions by one driver on any circuit. The circuit was Surfers Paradise, the old Surfers Paradise. Number of poles, 8. What about that? 73, 74, 76, right through to 86. He has done it all, P. Brock, but he hasn't been travelling too well over on this circuit the last couple of days. Let's have a look at this, the Courier Mail Gold Coast 100. Johnny Bow sits on pole. Beside him, AJ, our very own Alan Jones. Then Dickie Johnson and Jimmy Richards. Behind them, Thomas Mazira, Peter Brock. The two works cars sing together. Seaton and Morris. Morris doing a good job here. Longhurst, his boss, behind him with Perkins, Bathurst winner. Reed and Waldock. Spin, Finnegan, Palmer. Had a big moment yesterday with Jones. Gardner, well back. Mark Scape. Have a look where he is. That's because he had an accident yesterday. McCall and Heffernan. We go to row 11 as Neil Crompton, who also had major problems yesterday. So the reason that some of the better cars are way back on the grid, we had a fairly dramatic race yesterday. Mark Scape clashed with Palmer. That put him out of business and at the rear of the grid.
And the good thing for Scapey is, though, he saved, you know, half race distance on his tyres, Darryl. So hopefully we'll see a big charge from Mark and he'll get through them very quickly.
Brad, your opinion of the drivers that, I know they've got to do it in the Touring Car Series, the Australian Championships, but this weekend they have to use the same race rubber again. I mean, in your opinion, is that a good idea?
Well, you know, it's a cost-saving fact. It's trying to let the privateers get closer to the factory teams, and they've got quite a durable tyre, but I just think that, you know, this race isn't really worth anything, and maybe if they had some softer tyres on, we get a bit closer racing in the front.
Well, I sort of agree. I think just turn them loose here on fresh rubber. I mean, that's what it's about, entertainment. If it's for championship rule, that's fine, but this weekend I reckon they should have been turned loose on fresh rubber.
I do tend to agree with you on that one, Darryl.
Going back through the field there, 1 minute to start. Looking down on Tony Longhurst's car. Gee, that's been quick out of the box, that car. I mean, they haven't had much testing, but it's been there on the pace.
It is, and I noticed a vacant spot next to him. Larry Perkins isn't here today.
Yeah, Larry struggled with some mechanical problems yesterday. Obviously, got the better of him, couldn't get it around. Alan Jones, he's happy to be sitting beside Johnny Bower. He said the Dunlop rubber that Johnny Bower was running yesterday was absolutely sensational. 10 laps, 45 kilometres. And those Dunlop tyres, he thinks they are as good as you're going to get up here.
It's interesting, he and Dick are on a different tyre. I believe they're both on new experimental Dunlops, and John's got the softer one.
Two Holdens, Thomas Mazira, Peter Brock, 30 seconds to start. Jones, he's pretty keen to take him onto the chicane. He reckons if he can get in front, he'll give him the business. So let's see AJ what happens here. 10 laps. Same rubber from yesterday. Scape to charge through from the back. Johnny Bow, Alan Jones. Green flag and racing. The drag now. Let's see which board's got the hoochie cooch to get down. Jonesy off the line. Will lead him into the first chicane. Watch Johnny Bow come back on the brakes. Out we go. Jonesy did what he said he was going to do. Take him on the first chicane.
Sensational start, Darryl, and Richards made a brilliant start from the second row to get past Dick Johnson as well.
Well, Johnny Bower, he's sitting in second place. Alan said if I can take him on here, I'll do bananas to hold him out. Would love to win here. He got the Group A's to Surfers Paradise, and he's pretty pleased with that. Down they go into A&A. Look at this now as they stream through on this little short straight. That'll take them back onto the famous coastal strip of Surfers Paradise. And Jonesy's at it.
He's basically doing what John Bower did yesterday. He's made a lightning white start and just got a bit of distance on them, 2 or 3 car lengths now, and he's stretching his legs. He's giving that car everything it's got at the moment.
Looking back at Johnny Bower, well, he's done a bowl of Jonesy. Whether his rubber will hold, Jimmy Richards ready to throw out the challenge there to in third place. Dickie Johnson, then I think it's Mazira, then Brock, then Seaton. Through they come now. Everybody through tidy. Gardner comes through, Crompton comes through. Alan Jones through the chicane, bumps it once, bumps it twice. They all kiss him nice and do some rock and roll.
The Holdens are a little bit closer today. The shorter distance, you know, depending on the compound. Oh, look out, there's Wayne Gardner having a bit of a moment there, but they've got it all sorted out.
Gardner's cars, the Coca-Cola cars that he and Crompton are driving are really improving every time they come out. But look at the big improver, AJ, on the streets of the Gold Coast. He loves so much out in front. I tell you what, he'll be chuffed, and he's building the lead.
He certainly is. It's quite interesting. You know, John Bow got to the front and really tore them to pieces yesterday. And today, Alan's, done exactly the same thing. He's slowly pulling that gap out each lap, and he's looking very good at the front of the field.
He was confident if he could get away at the starting and hold him out. Conserved his run the best way he could yesterday. Into the chicane, they are fantastic down here. Jimmy Richards has dropped back under pressure from Nick Johnson now. Johnson all the way over the top of him. Brock and Mazira, that's how they started. Young Morris in the white Coca-Cola car has done a terrific job. He's driving, in fact, the leap that he's made from the 2-litre car to the big car has been very spectacular.
It is. He's done a great job. And, you look at Alan Jones's car here, ducking and diving under brakes. John Bow sort of holding the gap a little bit now, and they're slowly edging White and Richards. But 10 laps, they'll be into it. There's a little bit of a brake lock up there by Jonesy. We see on the camera there as we're driving away from John Bow, it seems.
He's got some hoochie cooch up the back straight. Alan Jones. Then we have Johnny Bow. There they are, line astern. And you can see Johnson, he's monstering all over the back of Jimmy Richards. He's got to be exhausted, Richo. He's driven everything here this weekend. I reckon he's driving cabs at night.
He's certainly clocking up some miles, and he's doing a great job too. It's not easy to keep Dick at bay, and the new Dunlops they've got on those Falcons certainly seem to be working.
Seaton now challenges Brock, but it's AJ out in front. Then we've got Johnny Bow. That's Richards. Here they come, the two Holdens there. Brock desperately trying to stay in touch. There's no greater motivation than to beat your teammate.
Well, that's true. He's your biggest competitor. And I noticed Mark Scaife's charging through the field there. He's up to 10th already from 18th, so he's playing for keeps too.
Mark Scaife had an accident yesterday with Ian Palmer from New Zealand, and that put him out of business. A fair bit of damage to the car, but they've worked on it all night, the Winfield team, and got it running, and that's a credit to them. Here's Jones now, comes out of the bowl onto the Gold Coast Highway. How many times you have driven down here, people from Australia, with a surf ski and the kids in the back? Have a look at this, bit different today. Look at the skyline, look at the beach. Look at AJ, he's on the noise.
John Bow's put the headlights on, which is an interesting move, really. You tend to do that when you're charging at someone. It tends to get your attention a little bit, and you sort of look and think, shit, he's coming at me. But I think Jonesy's been around a bit long to let... Oh, he's hit a bit of debris there on the track.
Well, you can see now Johnny Bow starts to close the gap a little. This is going to get interesting. There's plenty of laps to go yet. Jonesy's driven the ring out of this thing to try and keep it in front. And he makes some ground up, but Johnny Bow starts to close up under brakes. A little puff from AJ. He's certainly trying hard. So is Johnny Bow. He knows he's got to keep him inside. Jimmy Richards back in third. He's probably got half a car length on Dickie Johnson. That's opened up a little bit. That's Johnson and Richards in behind. Nothing from 1 through 4.
They're very close, and I think Bow, catching Jonesy will be one thing, but getting by him will be something else. And they're both very, very hard drivers, and neither of them will get... Oh, John Bow had a bit of a brake lock up and ran a little bit wide there. So he's certainly trying very hard, and 10 laps, you can't afford any mistakes.
Falcon, Holden, Falcon, Holden. That's the way it's running at the moment. Mazera keeping out Brock. Good battles down right throughout the field here. Big tussles up in front. Here come the two Holdens now. Mazera's car blowing flame out everywhere. So is Brock, so is Seaton. There's Morris, there's Longhurst.
The Lansvale car, they're doing a great job. That's the first of the privateer teams coming through there.
Aren't they consistent? They really always give it a go.
And they're lovely guys, and they try very hard, and they're not that far off the pace really when all those things are considered.
No one trying harder than Jonesy now. Scaife is behind Glenn Seaton now in 8th spot. What a drive from him. He has made up 10 spots in this field. Mark Scaife will try and get a shot of him a little later on, but right now we're looking at the front battle. This is Richards now. Richards comes past. He's dropping Dick a little.
Which is surprising, yesterday, Richo's just giving the brakes here a bit of a tap just to make sure it's a security touch, just to make sure you've got a pedal, because that is actually the fastest part of the circuit down into the chicane there.
Well, Dickie Johnson's losing touch a bit with Jimmy Richards now, Johnny Bow and AJ. What a battle up front. They're matching each other for ripple strips. And a big blue puff of smoke fills the air in front of the broadcast stand here. Not sure where that came from. Boy, oh boy, there's plenty of it around. Oh,
there
and
we
that's
go.
the reason why. Kevin Waldock. Holy moly, that's a big one.
It certainly is. I can't quite work out exactly what's happened there. I don't know if he's gone into the wall or through a chicane, but he's certainly hit something very hard there.
Well, I'm not kidding. The puff of smoke, the blue smoke, look at that. That is a big, big wreck.
That's right in the middle of the straight. He must have got hooked up with somebody.
It's right underneath where we're broadcasting from. I just saw a big blue cloud of smoke and some concrete, dust and whatever, and that was the reason. Waldock straight in. Well, he's in a real serious part of the circuit here. In fact, I wondered why the crews in front of our box dropped back. No wonder they dropped back. Anyway, racing continues now. Alan Jones still in front. Not sure what they'll do about the Waldock wreck.
This gap is seesawing a little bit. You know, Jonesy will get away a little, and then John will pull him in, and Jonesy will get away a bit more. It's quite an interesting battle.
AJ lifting wheels. He's hitting the curves. He's really wringing this car's neck. Wants a win. It'll be the first for the year for him. He did very well at Eastern Creek in one of the heats. We think the pace car is coming out. I can see it here in pit lane. Slow and hold. The yellow flag. That was a big accident from Waldock, and they'll be coming up past that very shortly. There's all the rubber. Have a look at the skid marks all over there. There's the wreck. They come around. Jonesy puts the hand up. They're not going to be able to get this off. It's going to have to finish under yellows, I would think.
Very dangerous spot. Fastest part of the circuit, and he's right in the middle of the race line.
Gee, there wouldn't be too many straight bits in that thing, I wouldn't think.
No, I just can't. Yeah, they're full course caution, so they'll have the pace car out there in a minute, and they will actually try and get it out. We're only halfway into this race, so if they and because these guys are used to this sort of thing, I'm sure it'll be fine.
We'll take this opportunity to take a break, come back, stay with us, Australia. Plenty more to come from the Gold Coast. After 4 laps, it's Jones, Bauer, Richards, Johnson, Becerra and Brock in the Courier Mail Gold Coast 100. This is the second heat. They've got the wreck of Waldock away. They've done a magnificent job. The people here at the circuit, fantastic. Alan Jones really put the boot in it again and got the go. Now, have a look at Johnson, have a look at Richards, but look at Mark Scape. He's the second of the Winfield cars. He came from 18th. Sitting in behind P. Brock. Look at the chain, they're all getting shoved. Plenty of muscle going on.
Well, yeah, Scapey, I think he just spun Brock around, actually. Or Brock spun around. Scapey was touching the back of him when we last saw him, so that'll be another position he's moved up.
He was just pushing him.
He's certainly charging, and here's Dick having a go at Richo.
Hey, John Bow now. John Bow right in behind Alan Jones. The lead he worked so hard for has been whittled away now. We're all back to square one. Jonesy won't be too happy about that. He worked so hard to build the lead. Now it's back, but what about the race? Jimmy Richards, Dick Johnson, that's Becerra. Brock has been bumped back. Mark Scape in behind Becerra now. They had a bit of push and shove last time they met down in Melbourne and Sandown.
Yeah, they certainly did, and actually Jonesy got a sensational start there, and JB's closed in a little bit on the first couple of corners, so he's, you know, they're pressing on, and Alan will just be trying to settle in the car, not look in the mirror, and try and get that gap out again and drive as hard as he can. He doesn't want to know about drivers being there.
Jonesy, as he goes now down through the chicane, they all come through. Look at the attitudes of the cars. Johnny Bow been very good under brakes, but so has AJ. He has really thrown the big Falcon around.
You see how they're lifting wheels up here? Because this is such a slow cornered circuit, the power down barrel is so important, so they run them very soft in the back with a lot of squat, so they don't get wheel spin when they're accelerating out of the corners.
That's exactly the setup for the Winfield cars. You notice it almost everywhere they race.
Oh, I don't know how they drive it. It's almost scraping the rear bumper on the ground, but Scapey does all that work, and he's very comfortable in the car and exceptionally fast.
Mark Scape will keep our eye on him. He's had a fantastic drive from 18th now to 7th. And through they come, 4 laps to go. Alan Jones wanted to win this one, the second heat in front of his Gold Coast Sunday crowd. Doing a pretty good job at really lifting the wheels down. Oh, he's got the skirts up and dancing. AJ. And another car, that's the Brock car. That's Brock's car. He got shunted from behind.
Well, maybe something broke on the side or the front of that. I'm not sure what's going on, but Scapey was into the back of him.
Peter wouldn't be too happy sitting inside the car, but that's the way they want it here. If you break down unless there's a fire, stay with the vehicle.
there doesn't look to be anything hanging off the car, Darryl. I wonder why he stopped there. Obviously, maybe a drivetrain problem or something.
Hasn't had too much luck mechanically in the last couple of years as P. Brock. AJ now out in front of Johnny Bow. You see him come up the beachfront again. Get a glimpse of how close you are to the ocean here. Johnny Bow, Jimmy Richards in third place. Dick Johnson, they've had a scrap. That's looking out the back of Jonesy's car. Johnny Bow, watch this thing skate around.
It looks like a shark ready to attack there. It's he's certainly moving in. It's you know, just like a piece of string. It's closing and going away and closing, but he just hasn't got that little something to get right onto Jonesy to intimidate him. And AJ's looking, I think, very comfortable where he is.
This is his view from outside the car as he blasts his way up around Narrowneck. They hook back here left now. This is a little tight section here. It's a lot tighter than it looks on television. They work their way back to the Gold Coast Highway. Again he goes left. Now it come round right. See the car, a lot tighter than it looks when you're looking out the windscreen.
Oh, and when you get around the track, the straight seems so short, but you see those lines on the windscreen there? That's a heated demister like you get on the back of your normal car on the front of these cars. 2 years ago at Bathurst, the weather was so bad we couldn't see out any of the cars. We now have these demisters on the front screen, so if it's foggy inside, we just turn them on and it's clear as a bell.
That's where Waldock crashed right there. Jonesy blasting past the commentary area. This is the Gold Coast Highway. Under the FAI big sign there. Through the chicane he comes.
Exactly the same time that time round for Jones and Bow, so they're certainly both having a big go, and John Bow's running out of time.
3 laps to go. Bowie just stalking AJ at the moment. The view from AJ's car. Bow's got the lights on him. Here, AJ, I'm coming at you. Jonesy says, catch me if you can. Down they come under the brakes. Through the A&A corner, up this little short straight. Plenty of power here. Jones looks good. Now he'll hook back onto the beachfront again. Isn't this a great circuit?
Fantastic place. I mean, everyone enjoys coming up here every year. The circuit's great to race on. The atmosphere is fantastic. Look at the view. You couldn't ask for any more. I noticed there on the screen that Scafe's got past Mazzara and he's up to 5th.
This has been a drive from Scafe, hasn't it? He's come from 18th to 5th. He was right in behind Johnson. There he is now. Mark Scafe. What a drive. He had an accident yesterday. They bumped him back to the back of the grid. He's gone past Thomas Mazzara in the mobile telecom holding right behind him. This is Mark Scafe. Now we're back with James Arena. That's Jimmy Richards. That's Dick Johnson. And that's Scafe, and he's closing.
He's certainly driving that thing hard. And, of course, our tyre battle today is Bridgestone, Dunlop, Yokohama. And, you know, the cars are even. They've played with these rules for a couple of years to get them as close as they can with the spoiler kits. And it seems today that the tyres are all very close too.
Now they come to this pretty part of the circuit here, high-rise buildings, people hanging off balconies. It almost gives you the impression of Monaco, this place now. There's so many people supporting the event. They're hanging off the balconies of the high-rise, jammed in round the beach. It's a wonderful, wonderful sight. The waterway, and that's what we're looking at here. And all of those balconies, all of those verandas are stacked with people having motor racing parties. Gee, it's a good atmosphere here. Get in next year if you've missed it this time round. There's the Marriott where we're staying at. Here's Jonesy. He's not staying anywhere. He said, let me go.
And Richo's actually closing in on these two a little bit, and it's interesting that he's doing that. The Yokohama tyres obviously coming good towards the end of this race.
We've got a message from the pits that Kevin Waldock says he was hit by Neil Crompton. He's not very happy about the whole incident. Brad Jones, you can relate to that.
Well, I wasn't all that happy with Charlie O'Brien, but I bet Kevin's got a fairly savage headache. It doesn't feel nice when you hit the wall that hard.
You got a bit of a one yourself.
Well, yeah, I guess everyone sees it differently, but it'll be interesting to watch a replay.
Down they come now again. AJ has put in a spirited drive. Every time Johnny Bow's got close, he's put the power down again and gone away just that car length or two. Jimmy Richards has finally broken away from Dick Johnson now. He's putting some pressure on Johnny Bow.
Oh, there's Jonesy.
He's gone off. I don't believe it. He's gone off. He's got half the tyre barrier under the car. Oh, he won't be happy, AJ.
And he's definitely not going anywhere. That
just come
front
off
wheel.
the circuit, and look at that. Well, after such a great drive and building a lead twice after the restart, he's come off the circuit and a smoky wreck.
I don't know that he has come off the circuit there, Darryl.
Here we go. He's brushed the wall there.
Cross into the tyres over the chicane. He's just turned in that little bit too early. mean, look at that tyre. He certainly won't be continuing onwards, but bad luck. He was driving so well.
He's just kissed the wall as he's hit the apex of that corner, and he's off. Well, Johnny Bow's in front. Now, Jimmy Richards, there's AJ. Oh, won't be happy. This will be a terrible place this afternoon when he comes back. Let me tell you, he gets cranky. On the last lap, oh, he'll give everyone a mouthful. He will not stop. He'll give himself the biggest mouthful. All right, Johnny Bell lifting up his skirts and doing some dancing now. Down he comes. There's Brock's car. Whoa, they've got to be careful there. Jimmy Richards throwing out a challenge. Can he get there on the last lap? It's now the two Shell cars, the FAI cars now are 1 and 3. The Winfield Continental running second.
And Richo's having a great day, isn't he? Winning the NASCAR race, closing on John Bow here. He's bouncing off every curb, so he's certainly having a go.
Johnny Bow inherited the lead, of course. He won here yesterday in the 22 lapper. He was delighted about that. He was able to save his tyres a bit because he built up a lead, and it's paid dividends now.
Very disappointing for Jonesy. I really don't think that JB was going to get past him, but that's racing, as they say, and JB's in the front.
Mark Scape up to 4th from 18th. There've been a few returns. Oh, Jimmy Richards, you don't see him do the lawnmower bit, the Victor bit too often.
I'd say he's running a little short on brakes. This place is unbelievably hard on those, and of course the NASCARs are 300 kilos heavier than these, and we run out of brakes quite rapidly, and of course, near the end of this race they're all having a go, and Richo's just braking all the way.
There's Mark Scape in 4th place from 18th. I reckon that's been a super drive. But Richo's really having a big go. I very rarely see him really get off the hard stuff onto the loose stuff, but he is throwing everything into it. Here they come around. His clothes is on Johnny Bow. Can Johnny Bow have enough grunt in the Falcon now to hold him out? Only a couple of corners before they hit the big straight. Richards right up behind him now. Now it's a drag race out. Johnny Bow gets the legs going. Now Richards comes at him. He'll sit in a draft and try and slingshot his way through. Here he comes. Richards, Johnny Bow by half a car length. Oh, what about that? The Group A's here. Sensational.
Great race. I mean, Richo threw everything he could at him at the end of the race there, and JB just kept his calm, got on the throttle coming onto the straight. Unless he missed a gear or something, he had it in the bag, and great drive, JB. A bit unlucky for Jonesy, though.
Fabulous drive from John Bow. He won here yesterday in a 22 lapper. He's won here today, and gee whiz, he had a great tussle with Alan Jones, but that's what it's all about. He kept the pressure on. Jonesy made a mistake. There's no doubting that. He clipped the wall, and there he is. There he knows too. Look at the look on his face. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look here. Bang! That's where he hit the wall.
He's just turned in a fraction too early there, because the next part of that chicane is quite a slow part of the circuit, and you need to get in as close to that wall as possible to get on the throttle early and drive it out of that next one down that long straight, Darryl, and he's just turned in that little bit too far.
Now, this is a shot from the rear of his car, Brad. There it is.
Yep, there's a little bit of smoke coming off the concrete wall, and of course when the wheels broken, it's just shot him straight over across the chicane and into those other tyres.
Jimmy Richards had to do a bit of evasive work too. You know, there was only 0.17 of a second between first and second, so we're talking nothing there, and really it was a very close race. Well, AJ will get a great reception from the crowd. Gee, he put on a very spirited drive here, didn't he? And he worked so hard to get the Group A's. There you go, gets in with Johnny Bow. That's great to see. He'll take him back, but AJ worked so hard to get the tourers up here, and I mean, they've turned on a great show.
Well, yesterday's race was a bit long, but today was a sensational race, and Jones, as you said, he's worked very hard to get them up here, and he was looking on a good result today, and it just goes to show you one little mistake, and that's the end of it.
Well, you can imagine the conversation going on there. Well, I did this, and you did that, and I did this. Johnny Bow, Richards, Johnson, Skate, Mazira seat, and that's how they finished the Courier Mail Gold Coast 100. Stay with us, back shortly, lots more to come.